The Song of Shifting Sands.
The desert does not forgive. It does not hate nor love. It simply is an ancient entity of wind and silica that grinds ambition to dust with the patience of epochs. Nim knew this truth in his bones, felt it in the grit between his teeth and the ache in his sun-cracked lips. For 17 days he had walked a sea of sighs, following star charts copied from a mad cartographer's journal, his water nearly gone, his hope thinner than the morning mist that vanished by midday. He was not a hero. Heroes had causes, banners, righteous fire in their bellies. Nim had debts, gambling debts owed to men who broke fingers for sport and collected souls for amusement. He was a rogue, a scavenger of forgotten things, a man who slipped through cracks in the world where others saw only emptiness. His reputation in the port cities of the southern coast was a whispered thing. Nim the Ghost-Fingered, the man who stole the tear of the moon from the Sultan's vault and left no trace but a single grain of sand on the pillow. The story was embellished, as such stories always were. He had left 3 grains. Precision mattered. Now precision might save his life. The chart showed a convergence, point where 3 dune ridges formed a perfect triangle. Under the zenith sun, a place locals called Khalat al-Maut, the Fortress of Death. No caravan had crossed this stretch in living memory. The air itself seemed to resist intrusion, shimmering with heat haze that twisted the horizon into liquid nightmares. Nim adjusted the scarf wrapped around his face, his eyes sharp and the color of weathered teak, scanning the rippling sands. His pack held little: a half-empty waterskin, a coil of silk rope treated with serpent oil to resist abrasion, a dagger forged from meteoric iron that never dulled, and the chart itself sealed in waxed leather. And of course, the tools of his trade: lockpicks of bone and silver, powders to reveal hidden mechanisms, lenses to read faded inscriptions. A thief's arsenal. The sun reached its apex. Nim stopped, planted his staff in the sand, and unrolled the chart. According to the mad cartographer, a man named Elias Vane, who had died screaming about cities that breathed beneath the sand, the entrance to Zahara would reveal itself only when shadows vanished completely. Superstition, Nim had thought, but desperation makes believers of pragmatists. He waited, the heat pressed down like a physical weight. His tongue felt like leather. 1 more hour without water, and his mind would begin to fracture, conjuring oases that were not there. He had seen it happen to others, men who laughed at mirages until they walked into the sun and never returned. Then the sand began to sing. It started as a vibration through the solace of his boots, a low hum that traveled up his spine. The dunes around him trembled, not with wind, but with something deeper, older. Grains of sand lifted in perfect concentric circles, hovering inches above the surface as if held by invisible hands. The air grew cold despite the sun's fury, a paradox that made Nim's skin prickle. Magic. The word tasted foreign on his tongue. He had seen tricks and illusions sold by charlatans in market squares. But this was different. This was the earth itself remembering a language it had spoken millennia ago. The singing intensified, a chorus of crystalline notes that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. The hovering sand coalesced into shapes, arches, spires, the suggestion of a grand gateway buried beneath centuries of desert. And then, with a sound like shattering glass, the sand parted, not blown aside by wind, but rearranged. Each grain moved with impossible precision to reveal a staircase descending into darkness. The steps were carved from black basalt veined with threads of gold that pulsed with a soft internal light. At the top of the staircase stood a statue of a creature, both serpent and scorpion, a sand serpent, its body coiled in eternal vigilance, its multifaceted eyes gleaming with captured starlight. Nim's breath caught. The stories were true. Zahara was real. He approached slowly, every instinct screaming caution. Treasure hunters who lived long enough to spend their spoils were those who respected traps, both mechanical and metaphysical. He studied the guardian statue. No visible mechanisms, no pressure plates he could discern. Yet the air around it shimmered with restrained energy. "Easy now," he murmured, more to himself than the statue. "Just passing through. No harm intended." He reached the first step. The sand serpent's head rotated smoothly until its gaze fixed upon him. The multifaceted eyes ignited with golden fire. The singing stopped. In its place came a voice that was not a voice but a vibration in the marrow of his bones. "Who wakes the dreamers?" Nim froze. His hand drifted toward his dagger, but he forced it still. Violence would be suicide here. "I am Nim," he said, his voice raspy from thirst but steady. "I seek only passage. Passage requires price. The city sleeps. To walk its streets is to enter a dream not your own. Many have tried. Their bones feed the dunes." "I am not many," Nim replied. "I have walked where others fear to tread. Let me pass, and I will leave your city as I found it." The sand serpent uncoiled, its body flowing like liquid amber. It was larger than he had first perceived. Its scales shifted color with each movement, gold to ochre to deep violet. It circled him, its presence pressing against his mind like a physical weight. "You carry hunger, not for gold or jewels, but for something deeper. The city senses this. It hungers in return." "I seek what is buried here," Nim said carefully. "That is all. The crown." The serpent whispered, "The crown demands a soul, not a life." A soul. The city has waited millennia for one worthy or foolish enough to pay the price. Will you be that one? The desert vanished. Nim stood in a city of impossible beauty. Towers of crystalline glass spiraled toward a sky streaked with violet and gold. Streets of mother-of-pearl reflected floating orbs of light. People moved through plazas, tall beings with skin like polished bronze and eyes filled with galaxies. They laughed and danced beneath glowing skies. Then silence fell. The light dimmed. The people froze between heartbeats. Towers darkened. Streets cracked. A city fell asleep forever. Nim gasped as the vision released him. He was back on the dunes, on his knees. You have seen the dream. To enter is to walk among ghosts. To touch the crown is to become part of the dream, or to wake it. Choose. What was his soul worth when he had already sold pieces of it? "I choose to enter," Nim said. "Let me walk the dream. Then walk carefully." Thief. Karin Zahara. The greatest danger is not what hunts you, but what you might become. Nim descended the staircase. The air grew cool and still. He walked through corridors of glass that showed scenes of a vanished world. Children playing, lovers whispering, scholars debating. He emerged into a vast plaza of glass palaces and ghostly citizens repeating the same moments forever. And in the center rose the spire. A figure awaited him, tall and robed in light, a silver circlet upon his brow. "You are not part of a pattern," the figure said. "You are a flaw in the dream." "I seek a way out," Nim said, "and a treasure. The crown does not grant power. It is power. To wear it is to anchor the dream or shatter it. And the price, a soul." Nim followed the Ghost King toward the spire. For beneath the endless dunes, he hoped he might finally find something worth keeping.